So, intermediate, we're looking at the future this term. And I've written some things, and I don't know if I've ever written this before. So here we go. I've written some of it before, but I like how I've written it today. We're looking at different tenses, and we're looking at the future. And I've listed a certain number of things for us. This is our first future lesson, so we're going to go deeper each week. I started looking at future simple with going to. Now, we use future simple with going to if we have made a decision in the past. But just to let you know that we've written a very conversational way of using it up here, using gonna. So although it's called the future with going to, we could always call it the future with gonna as well, because that's very conversational. Here's how we do it. In general, when we are, especially when we're writing, but we can say this when we're speaking, I am going to buy some sugar, okay? Now we use that because we would say that sentence if we've made a decision in the past. Okay, that's really important. We use the subject, the auxiliary verb to be, and the main verb is the ing form. But we also need a to infinitive for future with going to, and that's important. But if you use the future with gonna, which is very, very nice, we use a slightly different structure. Subject, auxiliary verb to be, but then we just use gonna instead of going to. And then we use the infinitive. So I am gonna buy. Subject, auxiliary verb, the main verb, gonna, and then the infinitive buy. So it's important to remember that. The other way we use the future, it's also called the future simple, is the future simple with will. Now we use this, one of the reasons anyway, is for something that happens at the moment of speaking. Sometimes we call it a spontaneous decision. Here's the classic example you'll see all over the internet whenever anybody is teaching it. It's always this one. The phone is ringing and someone goes, "Oh, I'll get it," and then you pick up the phone. So it is a spontaneous decision, and then you do the action almost immediately. We use the subject and we use the auxiliary verb will and the main verb. Okay? We also looked at present continuous today, because although I teach present continuous, and I taught present continuous 6 months ago, that we use present continuous for something happening now. So right now I am teaching English. Right now you are listening to me. I do hope so. We can also use it for the future. Just like I'm going to. When we've made a decision in the past, we could use present continuous. And it's a little bit different because we use the subject, the auxiliary verb to be, and then the main verb in the ing form, and no other verbs. Unlike here, where we've got another verb. And they're both, you can really use both, it doesn't matter which one you use. English people tend to use present continuous when they're talking about a decision they've made in the past, when it involves people. Usually, I'm meeting my friend later, I'm seeing the doctor tomorrow. Something like that, but it doesn't matter, you can use them either one for either purpose. The confusion lies when you use present continuous with going to. It looks similar to this going to, but remember that they are different. Here, subject, auxiliary verb, the main verb going, and then the rest of the sentence. There are no other verbs. Here, subject, auxiliary verb to be, going, plus to, plus the infinitive. There's another verb with the future simple with going to. So remember that, guys, it's really important. And of course, today we were looking at text with the verb might. I don't know, I always call this present simple because it just follows the rules for present simple. But then we shove in this extra auxiliary verb might when we're not sure about something. I might see my friend later. Maybe I just won't give it a tense. We use might when we're not sure about something. And then, just at the end, because we'd used might and we used will in all this, I decided just to show you the auxiliary verbs. Can and could, will and would, shall and should, may, might, must. They're all auxiliary verbs. The interesting thing about them is we always use all of these verbs in the same way. Subject, I, you, he, she, it, we or they, plus one of these verbs, and then the next word is the infinitive of any verb, the present simple first person. That's what infinitive means, present simple first person. So when I use it up here, present simple first person. Okay? Thank you.